No former president has ever been convicted of a felony crime, yet Trump could become the first one. Yesterday, he was found guilty on all 34 counts, but we're going to have to wait until July to make the title of convicted felon official. But as we wait, there's one question everybody's asking themselves, and what is next for Donald J. Trump? Get your questions ready because the show starts now.
This is the Nico Lagan Show. Warning. Warning. This show contains explicit content. Listener discretion is advised. Real, raw, and shooting you straight. This is the Nico Lagan Show. And now your host, Nico.
This episode of the Nico Lagan Show is brought to you the Alpha Creator Blueprint. If you are a male content creator looking to build up your brand on social media, check out tacblueprint.com and let me show you how I get millions of views on my content every single month. My name is Nico Lagan, and I am a voice for common sense. I believe in accountability, manly men, feminine women, small governments, free speech, the Second Amendment, and God. Now, guys, this show is live because I want to interact with you guys. I want to hear from you guys. So make sure to comment. Tell me if I'm full of shit. Tell me if you agree with me, disagree with me. It's all good. I want to be able to have a conversation with you guys. So please interrupt. Tell me what you think. Give me your opinion because I will share it. I will share your opinion on here. I want to be able to talk to you guys and know what you feel. Because what happened yesterday still blows my mind. Hey, Ray Shino, what's going on? Hey to you as well. First off, I want to say this. This episode is not about debating if Trump's guilty or not. It's not about to talk about if there's an agenda that wanted to have him convicted all along and if he ever stood a chance. I want to talk about what comes next because we can't control what happened. We can talk about it all we want, but what really matters now is what does he do starting now? Because what happened yesterday blows my mind. I never thought that this would happen. He will be the first former president to be convicted of a crime. This is messed up. And yeah, once again, I'm kind of blown by this. I never thought this would happen. But it is still a fact that today we can anticipate that in July, Donald J. Trump will become a convicted felon. But what comes next for Donald Trump? And I think there's some important questions that we need to ask ourselves if we want to figure this out. Now, first off, can he appeal the decision? If so, how long is the appeal process? And can the guilty verdict be overturned? What are the chances that he's going to end up in prison? If the conviction stands, can he still become president? Those are questions that we're going to address today. If you guys have more questions, please let me know on the chat and I will make sure to ask them. Now, Americans going down the drain. Ray, you know what? That's on Instagram comment. It's not looking good right now. I agree that it's looking very interesting right now, but there's still things that can be done. Show him your support. It will mean a lot to him. You know what? You're probably right. Another comment on Instagram. Joy, you're absolutely right. You got to show support to the person you want to vote for. I get it. I understand. And if we judge by what he said after he was found guilty yesterday, he wants to make your country, he wants to make America great again by upholding the Constitution. Let's see what happens. But for now, what comes next? Let's answer the first question. Can he appeal the decision? And if so, how long would the whole process take? Well, guess what? Of course he can. Of course he can. And you can guarantee your ass that him and his legal team will appeal the decision that came in yesterday. But first, we need to wait till July. They cannot appeal or start the appeal process until he's actually convicted. Because right now he was found guilty, but he was not convicted of a crime yet. That's going to happen in July. From that point, the legal team has 30 days to file a notice of appeal and then another 6 months to file the full appeal. So we got to wait till July to get the actual conviction. Then his legal team has 30 days to file a notice to appeal. And then they have another 6 months to file the actual full appeal itself. Now, as much as they can file an appeal, do they have the ground to do so? As it stands, there's 4 ways that they could file that appeal. It really going to depend on his legal team, the avenue that they want to go on. But first, they can argue that Stormy Daniels' testimony about their encounter in Lac Tao went into too much detail, and it had nothing to do with falsifying documents. It was never in question that they had sex. The real question was, did he falsify documents in order to shut her up? Because this is basically what the real question was. That was what the trial was about, not if they had sex. So his legal team could say, hey, this did not play well in our favor, and it had nothing to do with the trial. Second, they could argue the statute itself, because this is an interesting one, and I'm not a legal expert, but when I was reading this morning, I realized that there's some weird stuff going on. But the point is here that to convict Trump, the jury had to find that he had falsified records with the intent to commit or conceal another crime. But yet they did not have to specify what that other crime was. In this case, the crime in question was the violation of New York's election law section 17-152. Not only is it rarely used in court, but it has to have an unlawful means to influence an election. That's what it means. The really interesting part about this is that although the jurors had to be unanimous on the fact that Trump had broken the law, they didn't have to agree on what those unlawful means were. So they had to agree that he did something illegal, but they did not have to agree on what that illegal thing was. It's very, very strange. I've never heard that before, but this is what happened. So his legal team could use that to appeal. Number 3, they could actually say that based on the fact that Judge Merchant chose to limit the testimony of one of the defense special witness, Bradley Smith, a Republican law professor who served on the Federal Election Commission, they prevented him from speaking. They basically told him that he could not go into detail on how to show that the hush money never amounted to a campaign finance violation. So the judge prevented him from speaking. Number 4, and that might be what they use, but I don't think so. But hey, it's a 4th situation. It's a 4th possibility that he could use the argument for presidential immunity. So the Supreme Court right now is expected to rule next month on whether or not former presidents are immune from prosecution. We'll know next month, but the point in the matter is that there are ways that Trump can appeal it. But as per the formal federal prosecutor, Mitchell Epner, he doesn't see that working. He doesn't see it moving the needle. So it's possible that they'll be able to appeal. no matter what, they're going to go through the process. We know that. But what's interesting is that they have a few avenues, but it doesn't seem, as per expert, it probably won't work. But hey, what do I know? What do we know, right? We're going to have to wait and see. So the second question we should be asking ourselves right now is, what are the chances that he's going to end up in prison? Although each of the 34 counts carries a maximum sentence of 4 years in prison, most legal experts say that Trump is never going to go to jail, especially considering that he has no prior criminal record and his crimes were non-violent in nature. Instead, what probably is going to happen is that Judge Merchant will most likely impose other penalties like fine, probation, conditional discharge instead of jail time. So, sounds like there's not a lot of chances that Trump is going to go to jail. And as per other ruling, we're talking about 1 out of 10 people accused of the same crime actually go to prison. So, for all the Democrats out there that believe that Trump's going to jail, chances are he's not. Third question we should be asking ourselves right now. Now that he is going to be convicted, and as per expert, chances are that it will stand, can Donald Trump still become president? Yes. Simply said, yes, he can. Even convicted, Donald Trump will be able to run for president. As a candidate for federal office, Trump is restricted only by the requirements in the US Constitution. And they're pretty straightforward. The president must be 35 years or older, must be a natural born citizen, and must have lived in the US for at least 14 years. There's nothing about criminal convictions. So technically, if you're a Trump supporter and you plan on voting for Trump, you can still vote for him. Not only would he be the first ex-president to become a convicted felon, but he could be the first convicted felon president. That's interesting to think about, but that is still what could happen and probably will happen. But there's another thing that we need to keep in mind here, and that's what makes this whole thing so interesting to me, is that if you remember, the appeal process is we got to wait till July in order to get the conviction. Then they have his team and him have 30 days to file the notice of appeal, and then another 6 months after that to file the actual appeal itself. So that means that this will take us past November 5th. So election day, this will not be dealt with. So yes, he could be convicted of a crime in July, and chances are he will. But we won't know what happens with the appeal until he becomes next president. It's very interesting. I don't think this has ever happened before, and I find it mind-blowing that this is what we're looking at right now. And, I was doing research this morning, and I let me ask you this. Can you imagine if Trump is sentenced to prison and also wins the presidency? Is he supposed to run the country from prison? Think about it. We won't know the appeal result until he becomes president again. It's just, this whole thing is, I shouldn't laugh at this, but the whole thing is hilarious. Because we're really in a situation where we have a next president that is going to become the first convicted ex-president. And considering the appeal process and the fact that we're basically in June tomorrow, the whole process would take him past November 5th. I find this thing very, very interesting, that A president could be in jail? No, he's not going to be in jail. Let's be honest here. But I found the idea to be absolutely hilarious. Now, before I go further, let me check out some of the comments I'm getting here. He will still be voted in and will pardon himself. Sure, maybe he will, maybe he won't. Technically, he doesn't need to. So he could just be a convicted president just to show how corrupt the system is. Maybe he's going to use that as a badge of honor. Remember how he used that, when he got arrested, he got his picture. That was one of the most viewed pictures ever. Like, that picture was fucking incredible. Like, they actually used that. The fact that he was at a police station and his mugshot is incredible. So who knows? Maybe he's going to use the fact that he's a convicted felon as a badge of honor to just show how corrupt the US justice system has become. I wouldn't be surprised if he does. That guy got balls. Like Donald Trump or not, that guy's ballsy and he don't give a fuck. So maybe we're going to be looking at the first convicted felon president that won't even use the power that he has to remove that charge. You know what? We'll see. Now, they could send Trump to to Guantanamo Bay. Yeah, brother, I don't see that happening. But yes, he can appeal and have it put on a court that isn't in liberal New York courts. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. He was, from memory, I think it was back in April. He did ask for a change of venue, but it didn't happen because, let's not lie to each other here, New York is a very, very, very blue state, blue city. So it wasn't the best place for Trump, but they refused it. So chances are this is not going to happen, but who knows? That being said, there's one question that I want to leave you guys on. This is something that I want you guys to put some thought in and think about it. Do you think that the Democrats handed Trump the presidency? And hear me out here. You can argue all you want that the Democrats had nothing to do with the jurors' decisions, that it was just a coincidence that not only did Judge Merchant donate to the Democrat Party in the past, but that his daughter works for a firm that works for Democrat clients. You can even argue that Robert De Niro just happened to be in New York giving an anti-Trump speech this week. But the truth and the matter is that instead of running their campaign on their own accomplishment, all the Democrat Party has done is to show that they were all about discrediting Trump. And they are responsible for keeping him in the news cycle. And as they say in marketing, there is no such thing as bad publicity. Publicity's publicity. No such thing as bad publicity. So ask yourself this. I want you guys to think about it. Hit me up later. Hit me up right now if you want. But do you think that the Democrats handed Trump the presidency? Now, as always, I want to finish on a good note. And here it is. Like Trump or not, this whole case has shown us that the power it be are capable of weaponizing the American justice system to push their agenda. And that, my friends, might be how we open the eyes of a lot of Americans that are still sleeping. There's nothing more powerful than showing your citizens that they might not be living in a free country after all. Here's the good news. I always try to see the good in everything. Oh, hold on. Before I close the show, let's take this. Barbara Coco, what's going on? Fuck everyone. Trump is a legend. All politicians are felons. Trump is not a politician and not a felon. He is not a politician by trade. That is actually true. And that was probably one of the biggest problems they had with him back in 2016. Because, man, if you remember, they were all loving that guy until he decided to go into politics. So, one other ironic fact about Trump, everybody seemed to like him. Nobody had anything to say about him that was bad until he started to run for the Republican Party. So that's pretty funny, right? Yes, they did, because the Democrat Party and presidency was horrible. Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree that I do believe that the Democrats have handed Donald Trump the presidency. Because think about it. It is pretty fucking badass to be a convicted felon president. And I would not be surprised that he wears it as a badge of honor, that he will be proud of this, just like he was proud of his mugshot. So it is very, very possible. Hi from Israel. Hi, Ronick 13. What is going on? And JBB Haven. Yes, the Democrats just handed the presidency to Trump. Couldn't agree with you more. So let me know, guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you do believe that they did. I think they did. I think the Democrats just shot themselves in the foot. And I think it's hilarious. But hey, let's see what happens in November. Let's see what happens in July when Trump becomes a convicted felon. But for now, we will end this show. I will thank you for joining the Friday recap of the Nico Lagan Show. And make sure, if you liked this episode, if you like my content, make sure to like, comment, share, follow, because social media don't like me. They don't like the type of content that I put out there. It pisses people off and it hurts people's feelings. So if you do like what I do, encourage me. Don't be scared. Share my stuff. Post some comments. If you don't want to share, you don't want to comment, just like. If you don't want to show it, send me messages. I love to hear from you guys. So don't be shy. On that note, as always, I want to finish this episode with a prayer. God, thank you for everything that you do for us. We are grateful for all our blessings. Please help us find the courage to stand up for what we know is right, the words to speak what needs to be said, and the will to continue to help and serve others. Amen. Have a good weekend, guys.